If I were to ask you what your favorite episode of Murder Drones was, I would have 8 different possible answers. Cause there's 8 different episodes. You get my point. A lot of people would probably say the pilot because it's, well, you know, the episode that started everything. That and the writing is, like, definitely at its best, but that's probably for a different video. A lot of other folks might say episode 8 because, well, it's a very, very good episode. It's gorgeous to look at, the fight scene is super epic, and Volway is just absolute cinema. Hell, I mean, some people might even say episode 5, which I can respect, but it definitely is an interesting answer. However, with all of that being said, by far the most popular answer to this question is episode 3, The Promening. Before we get on with the video, I do want to say a few things. To start, you'll notice that, I've upgraded a few things. The moving background is made by Sleepy Star, so do go check him out, even if he doesn't upload, but whatever. And as for the new avatar design, there's a bit of a story I want to tell. Pretty recently, I met a pretty talented artist. Their name is Quickson, and they're a pretty cool person, so naturally we got along. Quix is extremely talented, so I highly suggest you check out their card in the description down below.
I can't stop drinking oil.
And a little fun fact, they like birds, and I think that's pretty cool. No, not you. Fuck you, Crozy. Anyways.
Hello, I'm Quix, and as Jag was saying, I made his new avatar. He was honestly so great to work on with this, and his enthusiasm was extremely motivating. Like, he was so excited, and because of that, I pumped it out in a night. In all honesty, that is not my usual time span. But anyways, once again, my card is in the description below. My art examples are also linked there, so you can see the other type of work that I do. And even if you're not looking to get any art, my socials are there as well. Alright, that's enough shilling. Yeah, I'll let you get to talking about episode 3 now. But also, be nice to Crozy, man. She's one of my people. Okay, bye!
The original design is still made by Trash, so please go check him out also. There are a plethora of reasons as to why this episode is usually considered to be the fan favorite, so in this video we're going to talk about it. I'm going to briefly recap all of episode 3, so if you don't want to hear any of that, skip to this time to spit on screen. With all of that being said, get some popcorn, get some drinks, and get ready to groove at the Promening. The episode opens with us following a worker drone named Kelsey Day. She, could definitely use a hand. Or, in this case, I guess an arm? Sorry Kelsey, that's a bit of a you problem. We then cut to Doll inside her room talking to her dead parents, and also having a wicked insect collection. We then see Uzi laying in her room and about to go to school. Me too, Uzi. She then notices a lot of missing worker drones, which prompts her to investigate what's going on. It's then revealed that Khan took all of her schizo ramblings, which forces Uzi to go confront him. He and Uzi talk for a bit, and Khan says that
you're grounded from seeing those bad influencing murder drones.
He's also going to be chaperoning at the prom, which, magically got fabricated for this episode. Just don't think about it. Anyways, yeah, Uzi isn't too happy about this. We then see N and V inside the landing pod. V wants to go to the prom to go kill Uzi, but N quickly shuts this down. He then changes the subject to their tragic past. Uzi, Doll, and Lizzie then go into Doll's room, where Uzi is then told to go to the bathroom. Whilst all of this is happening, N continues talking about the past, but unfortunately he loses his head over it.
Please, what do you know?
We then cut back to Uzi inside the bathroom, who accidentally breaks a mirror due to her solver. She then overhears Lizzie and Doll planning to go murder V, which kinda freaks her out. Before she can do much about it though, she notices that the bathtub is occupied. She then hears Doll's footsteps coming towards her. So right in the nick of time, she decides to make stairs out of discarded mirrors, which she uses to escape out of a ventilation shaft. Wow, that was certainly a sentence of all time. After an undisclosed amount of time passes, N gets back up and decides to become Dapper N. Ann and Uzi then quickly reunite, and they come to the conclusion that they have to go to the prom. Uzi then becomes Woozy? Meanwhile, the prom is going great. Drones are dancing, Thad's busting a move, and Brayden's jamming out in the corner. Lizzie then appears on stage and announces that the rest of the prom court has mysteriously disappeared, and therefore, V is the queen by forfeit.
Oh, we're gonna die!
Khan notices that something is wrong, but when he tries to escape, Doll kinda closes all the doors on him. Lizzie then tells V to give a speech, which would then give Doll the opportunity to kill her. Before she can give said speech, though, Ann and Uzi kinda interrupt everything.
Unhand them, you fiend! I'm confused.
Lizzie then abandons the plan with Doll and she quickly warns V. Unfortunately for her, though, it's already too late. Doll begins attacking V with some worker drones being caught in the crossfire. Luckily, Brayden gets away, though. Before Doll can land the finishing blow on V, Ann and Uzi decide to stop her. Doll questions why Uzi's working with the disassembly drones since they both lost parents to them. Uzi says that they have to work together, but Doll's kind of more of a lone wolf. She then attacks Uzi, but then N pushes her out of the way. Doll throws a knife at Uzi, but then she catches it with her bare hands, and she's about to kick some Robo-Russian ass. The knife dance then commences, with N quickly getting back up to team up with Uzi to take down Doll. We then get possibly one of, if not the cleanest shot inside the entire show. Doll then gets shot in the back of the head by V, and the main trio decide to go investigate her room. They then encounter Doll's dead parents, and shortly afterward, Doll herself. She pulls the bullet that V shot her with out of the back of her head and fires it at Uzi. Unbeknownst to Doll though, Uzi actually has plot armor and her solver says nah, I'd live. So yeah. After finding out that Uzi also has the solver, Doll decides to make a promise to her. Doll says that she'll help Uzi find the patch. Which she doesn't exactly keep her word on, but that's not really Doll's fault, and it's mostly a fault on the writing. We then cut to a worker drone outside named Reed. Reed is looking for his excuse to be outside right now, aka his glasses, which is quite unfortunate because he ends up losing his head over it. It's then revealed that the person who decapitated Reed is a person named Tessa. This is actually the same Tessa who was the surrogate mother figure to Envy and Jay, and speaking of Jay, she's actually alive. Man, you know, I really hope that Jay isn't just brought back for nothing and her character actually goes somewhere. It would really suck if a character was just, you know, brought back for nothing. God, that would just suck. Tessa then says that she and Jay have maintenance work to do, which ends the episode. The Promening did just about everything right. The characters are written and voiced exceptionally well, the music by AJ DeSpirito hits as always, the intrigue and the absolute fucking cinema of the knife dance hook the viewer so goddamn nicely, and the pacing is also super good, which is quite the impressive feat because Murder Drones is notoriously bad with its pacing. Episode 3 has left quite the impact on both the fandom and the actual show itself. I mean, there's a reason that the vinyl has the knife dance plastered all over it, cause it's just, you know, absolute fucking cinema. This episode is the catalyst to a much more bigger thing inside the show and the fandom. That thing, of course, is shipping. Now, just for the record, I don't ship. I have no interest in that sort of stuff. But, objectively speaking, this is the episode that really puts Newsy in the forefront. It's fair to say that a lot of people ship N and V, cause, you know, of this line.
I actually kind of have a crush on her. You can't tell her, okay?
Which is exactly why Woozy can be an issue to some people. I'm not gonna delve too deep into it, mostly because I just don't care about whether or not two fictional robots get together, but I do understand this is kind of a huge thing for some people, so I felt the need to at least bring it up. One of the biggest reasons as to why people love the Promening is because of the antagonist. This antagonist, of course, is none other than Doll. This is undeniably, and pretty much objectively, Doll's best episode. Her motive is made extremely clear, and you can arguably even root for her, which is something that a lot of good villains tend to have. The reason that I say almost and not fully is because Doll quite literally murders all of the potential prom queens, which, is not cool. One of the most glossed over facts inside the show is that the main characters aren't exactly good people, especially when, you know, like 2 out of the 3 of them have killed thousands of worker drones and made a spire out of their corpses and, eat them when that was relevant to the show. That's not exactly something that good people do. So, yeah. There's also one more thing I want to talk about regarding this episode that I don't see many people talking about. The ending with Tessa. When this first premiered in February 2023, everybody was theorizing, and we were pretty fucking confused to say the least. We knew that this was Tessa, but we didn't really know what was up with her. As far as we knew, she would repair drones from the junkyard and, treat them like kind of a family, so her decapitating this random worker drone was kind of a red flag to some people. But then when you really consider it from her perspective, she's definitely on a mission. Whatever it was definitely intriguing to viewers back in 2023, and I think that's just part of the appeal for Tessa's character. You don't always know what's going on inside her head, but you know she's doing it for some sort of greater cause. The humans in murder drones typically aren't portrayed as very smart, or given much character at all really, besides being just mean, bad parents. So Tessa was a very, very nice addition to the cast. Man, I really hope they don't borderline character assassinate Tessa for, shock value of all things. God, that would fucking suck. Anyways. A lot of people were pretty confused on Jay's revival, cause, they thought she was dead because of episode 2. The end of Heartbeat solidified to many folks that Jay was kinda gone for good, however, that's immediately disproven by the end of this episode. To say that theorists were eating good would be a complete understatement. The Promening also objectively set up a lot of things and planted a lot of seeds. We finally see Uzi use her solver, V finally joins the main trio, Doll is set up for success, mostly, Tessa is formally introduced to us, and Jay's brought back. That is quite a lot. As much as I love this episode and, the entire show as a whole, this episode is not perfect. For one, where exactly does the prom come from? It would have made a hell of a lot more sense if this was a shindig. Why? Well, case in point.
Super invited to my shindig next weekend. Cool kids only.
To some, it can feel very jarring to have a prom episode this early on in the season, but it's not the end of the world, I guess, though it is a bit confusing. Additionally, this episode not only has a flashback to the previous one in it, it also plays the same flashback twice, and that's kind of jarring. We don't ever see the show do something similar to this ever again, and that definitely is for the best. Thad is just reduced to a glorified background character, which is extremely disappointing. The first 2 episodes had Thad in the forefront, and this episode officially marks him not being in the forefront, which, yikes. Despite me saying all of this, I don't really think that any of these are that big of a deal. It kinda sucks, but there really isn't much we can do about it. Anyways, on the brighter side of things, another reason why this episode is so universally loved is due to its utilization of characters. Here, let's go through them all. This is a very solid episode for Uzi. She's still very much herself, but her and En's dynamic is super fun this episode. They bounce off each other very well, and they just seem like a really good power couple. It's way better than just, "Oh, ooh woo, and please hold my hand when I walk down this scary hallway." Apologies for that, by the way. But yeah, this chemistry and this dynamic, I very much enjoy. Not to mention, Uzi's just fucking badass at certain points. Do I think that this is her best episode? Not really, but I do think it's very solid, and she's very enjoyable for the most part. And was also pretty decent this episode. He's still the comedic relief character, but he still gets a lot to do, which is pretty nice. Him and V's interactions were really nice, and I wish we saw more of them. One of my personal gripes with N throughout the show is the fact that he doesn't really talk to anyone that isn't Uzi. I mean, minus Uzi, he's not really that close to anyone, like, besides V, and that's kind of a shame. Even much later on, he doesn't really have much of a relationship with Tessa and Sin, which in and of itself is a complete tragedy, because they kind of grew up together, but, I'll just talk about that later, I guess, in a different video. Moving on. V doesn't really shine this episode, but she's still alright for the most part. The Promening plants a lot of seeds that do sprout into some of her best moments, but for the most part, she's kind of a punching bag this episode, which is quite a shame, honestly. V and Doll are supposed to have a rivalry because V kind of killed her parents, but they don't interact much, and like, this episode is like the only time they interact and or mention each other, which, yikes, that's not very good. It is also super unfortunate that her friendship with Lizzie just happens off screen. V and Lizzie have an amazing dynamic together, and it is just an absolute travesty that we don't have more of them together. I know I briefly mentioned Doll earlier, but this episode is just genuinely really good thanks to her. She's super fun to watch, she's very unique because she's Russian, and there's not really any other Russian characters in the show, and I just really enjoy her screen presence. Khan unfortunately doesn't get much screen time, but what little screen time he does have is very nice. We see him and Uzi start interacting more, which is always appreciated, and he's at least trying to be a better father, even if he needs a manual to do so. Which, I mean, it's not the best thing ever, but hey, it's something, I guess. I think a moment that isn't really talked about much is when he sees Uzi standing up to Doll. Now, if this was Pilot Khan, he would have fucking dipped, but this Khan is going through a bit of development, and that's just really nice to see. I think the biggest surprise this episode was Lizzie. I mean, Lizzie's always really good, but she was especially really good here. Her big oh shit moment of betraying Doll gave her a lot of depth, and she's also just fucking hilarious.
So, forgive and forget, or I'll get my dad to dock your frickin' grades! And you can't sit with us, Rebecca!
Fine, I forgive her. Settle.
Like I mentioned previously, Thad was unfortunately wasted. He's reduced to only having a cameo inside this episode, which, that's a big no-no for sure. However, he is still a rad Chad, so that's what really counts. Tessa and Jay aren't really characters, but them appearing is still very nice. They both help add a lot of intrigue to the show, and their presence is very much appreciated. Oh yeah, Brayden's also really good inside this episode. He grooves, he moves, and he very much improves. Early Murder Drones had a very distinct vibe to it, and I think this vibe is best exemplified by the Promening. This feeling of hope and intrigue and being really hooked on the show and just having something to look forward to is something that you really can't describe, but it's something that just makes you feel very happy. And that is why Murder Drones Episode 3 is undeniably the best episode.